I love racing. I love the sport. I love automotive sports. Um, Indy cars, F1, sports cars.
Well,
I love racing.
we have an indie race right in my backyard in St. Pete, so I'm looking forward to that every
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, do you go down there for the
Yeah,
because
I have
that's
a couple times, bud. I don't really. I mean, I can remember, and I can't think of the guys. Dan Weldon. I remember the day
okay.
he died in Las
Yep.
Vegas. Um, I mean, really, if you want to talk about, because we talked about the broadcaster last week, what you were talking about from Western Michigan, right? That had passed away in a car accident. Is that what it was?
Central.
Central
Central.
Michigan. I
Yep.
remember ESPN. I think I was watching SportsCenter or something on that front, and they just cut away in the middle of the show. They just stopped the show, and they went out to Vegas and announced that he had passed away. And I know um, he was a really, really big racer here my state of Florida. I should say my state, in the state of Florida, um, because he was well liked here.
Yeah.
Everyone, everyone seemed to. I mean, everyone. He was a big fan favorite no matter where he went. He was one of those guys. He was a Dale Earnhardt. Okay, you could say he was a Dale
Yeah.
Earnhardt of IndyCar because everybody, no matter where you went, you could always see a three. With Dale Senior, and Dan Weldon was the exact same way. He was the same type of guy. Everywhere you went, there was Dan Weldon fans. So I remember. I mean, the race in St. Pete's kind of cool because they race on city streets that we drive on, that I get to drive on. So I think that's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool. They drive on city streets that we get to,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we get to drive on in downtown St. Pete. I do know this, that when that happens, they block roads off, and of course people don't like it because the traffic is backing up, and that's a whole different story.
Yeah. 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 Definitely not exactly. Probably not a not a good day to drive downtown on a.
Correct. Correct.
But yeah, my dad was a big race fan, and I don't know what you were doing on February 18th, 2001, but that's a day that I'll never forget. Like we were talking about, or you were talking to Lewis about last week with 9/11
Mhm.
and Columbia, you know, and watching that race, and then it being an amazing race, and Tony's big flip in the middle of the race, and Tony getting out of the car and walking away perfectly fine,
Mhm.
and then what would seems to be a pretty simple wreck, two cars hit the wall, and it was kind of a bog standard crash for NASCAR, and your best driver, your greatest driver, the face of the sport, he doesn't survive, and
Yeah.
and when you do something like, whether it be just watch sports or as a sports broadcaster, media personality, you kind of take it for granted that your favorites are always going to be there, and in the back of your mind, that eventually they're going to walk away, that they're going to step aside in one way or another,
Yeah.
and to lose somebody, whether it be Ayrton Senna in F1, or Dale Earnhardt in NASCAR, or Dan Weldon in Indy, you know,
Mhm.
as the years have gone on, as the drivers and cars have gotten better and more safer, if that's a word,
Right.
um, it comes even more as a shock when somebody does pass away,
Right.
and thankfully they're fewer and far between every time. Um, and it kind of, to put in perspective, how much and in talking about boxing, and I wonder how much longer boxing can hang around with so many
Mm.
people dying from head trauma, and the
Yeah.
fact that we know so much more about head trauma, the fact that Spinks is in the hospital probably with some kind of brain disease
Mhm. Yep.
because of all of his years of being punched in the head. I mean, knowing that getting punched in the head is not exactly good for one's health.
No,
I
not at all.
wonder how much longer sports in general can hang around.
Right. Yep. Well,
And
I think.
and and with the
end up happening, but if we're gonna have robots playing sports in the future.
And with the rise of esports, you know.
Yeah. Yep. There's something else I don't talk about on the show.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not in. I can't get into esports, so I don't blame you.
I'm not a video gamer. I was when I was a little bit younger. It's never really. So no. I mean, I could talk about it on here. I know they have $1 million tournaments every year on ESPN and ESPN2, and so I know it's on the rise. It's the next big thing. But at the end of the day, I would rather go watch a football game or a hockey game or even a baseball game in person than sit in front of a video game console or a computer and watch. I mean, and I watch YouTube and I watch a lot of blog channels, and some of them are gamers and all that stuff. That's fine. But I'm not on Twitch. I don't watch Twitch. And if you guys do, great. If you have a Twitch channel, awesome sauce. That's great. I don't watch Twitch. I don't sit there and watch other people play video games. It's not my thing. But some people do. Some people go on there, donate money. Hey, you do what you do. If you think that that's great, fine. Hey, no problem.
Yeah, I'm not. I if I watch somebody play games, it's because they're commentating. I'm listening for their commentary on whatever they're talking about. But that's about it. I'm not really big into watching people unless I'm playing the game and I'm trying to figure out a cheat or a tip or whatever, trying to beat a level. Right. That's about all the game play that I watch. So.
Yeah, that's about it for me too. I don't. That's not me. But hey, like I said, some people, that's what they're doing, and they're making a lot of money doing it, so there's nothing wrong with it. If that's what you want to do.
No, it's not hurting anybody.
Yep. Fantastic. Let that. If it's making you happy, go for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right, bud. Well, let me go ahead. I mean, if you want to still listen, I'll go ahead and let you listen.
Yeah, if you want to.
Sure.
You want to put me on hold, then that's cool.
All right, bud. Well, thanks, man, for coming on, man, as always.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. I look forward to talking to you every week.
Absolutely, man. Me also. Me too. All right, man. I'll speak to you later.
I'll be here.
And that's it, guys, there with that. Let me go ahead and get into my topics. I'm going to get to Lewis towards the end of my show. But let me go ahead, guys, and start with the college football bowl games. I do have a listing from Yahoo Sports. Here are the 41 bowl games that are on coming up. The first one is the Arizona Bowl between Wyoming and Georgia State. The Cure Bowl is between Liberty and Georgia Southern. Potato Bowl is Ohio versus Nevada. The Frisco Bowl is Utah State versus Kent State. The Quick Lane Bowl is Pittsburgh versus Eastern Michigan. The Bahamas Bowl is Buffalo versus Charlotte. Armed Forces Bowl is Southern Miss versus Tulane. The Camelo Bowl is FIU versus Arkansas State. The Pinstripe Bowl is Michigan State versus Wake Forest. The Hawaii Bowl is Hawaii versus BYU. The First Responders Bowl is Western Kentucky versus Western Michigan. The Red Box Bowl is Illinois versus Cal. The New Mexico Bowl is Central Michigan versus San Diego State. The Leading Tree Bowl is Louisiana versus Miami of Ohio. The Gastro Bowl, which I might be at in person, is UCF versus Marshall. New Orleans Bowl is Appalachian State versus UAB. The Music City Bowl is Mississippi State versus Louisville. The Birmingham Bowl is Cincinnati versus Boston College. The Independence Bowl is Louisiana Tech versus Miami. The Sun Bowl is Florida State versus Arizona State. The Military Bowl is North Carolina versus Temple. The Gator Bowl is Indiana versus Tennessee. The Texas Bowl is Oklahoma State versus Texas A&M. The Belt Bowl is Virginia Tech versus Kentucky. The Liberty Bowl is Navy versus Kansas State. The Camping World Bowl is Notre Dame versus Iowa State. The Cheez-It Bowl is Air Force versus Washington State. The Boca Raton Bowl is SMU versus FAU. The Holiday Bowl is Iowa versus USC. The Las Vegas Bowl is Boise State versus Washington. The Alamo Bowl is Utah versus Texas. The Orange Bowl is Florida versus Virginia. The Outback Bowl, which I also happen to be at, is Auburn versus Minnesota. The Cotton Bowl is Penn State versus Memphis. The Sugar Bowl is Georgia versus Baylor. The Citrus Bowl is Alabama versus Michigan. The Rose Bowl is Oregon versus Wisconsin. The Peach Bowl is LSU versus Oklahoma. The Fiesta Bowl is Ohio State versus Clemson. And out of those four teams, you will have the college football playoff. That could be LSU Clemson. It could be LSU Ohio State. It could be Oklahoma Ohio State, or Oklahoma and Clemson. So that's how the 41 bowl games are in college football. The next thing, guys, is Auburn hires Arkansas head coach Chad Morris as an offensive coordinator. So now Gus Malzahn, guys, has gone out and hired Chad Morris, who was at Arkansas and was fired earlier in the year. So now Morris is a natural to fit in Dillingham's place. Dillingham is leaving Auburn, so he is moving on as a coach. So now Morris will fill his role. So that's going to be interesting right now. And Auburn is in the Outback Bowl versus Minnesota. I'm hoping to be able to go to that bowl game. I'm hoping to get credentials through this network that I'm on right now, NGSC. I'm hoping to get credentials through them and stuff like that. So it would end up being in that way, that I'll be at that game. I'm also hoping to get to go to the Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl on December 23rd, which is just 11 days away, guys. The holidays are coming up fast upon us. So, everyone out there, you're celebrating Hanukkah or celebrating Kwanzaa or Christmas, happy holidays to everybody. My holiday show probably will be next week. Before I'm not going to do one the 26th. I have a family function, and things might be changing on this show as of 2020. So I will let you guys know what's going on with that. But anyway, let me go ahead and, jump into topics here. We're going to talk next about the National Hockey League, which as of right now, guys, I'm watching the Lightning Bruins game. It's 1-1 in the third period with 17 minutes and 42 seconds left in the third period. The Lightning tied the game in the second period on a power play. So now this whole thing with Alou and all these players coming out, Gary Bettman has decided that he will create a hotline for reporting inappropriate conduct. Bettman said in the league he will be creating a hotline for players or NHL team personnel to report inappropriate conduct anonymously. So that means they don't have to give up their name. It's a safe way for them to report incidents. This is what happened to Alou and what happened to Sean Avery and all of them who now are coming out of the woodwork with being kicked or being, called. If the whole Alou story, guys, was he was called that he needed to stop with the N. I'm not even going to say that word on the show. The N-word music. I'm not a racist, guys. I'm not going to say that on this show. That is very inappropriate for me to say that word. In fact, I don't think anyone should be saying it, but that's just me, and I'm not trying to be racist. Let me just put that on the record right now as I'm talking. I'm not trying to be that way, and I don't think anyone should use that word. Anyway, back to the article, they're trying to conduct a code of conduct to get this set up for, Alou, for Peters Marks, and you have what Mike Babcock did, all this stuff that has come as of late here in the NHL about players being mistreated in some way, shape, or form. So there is a solution on the way for the NHL players and personnel to be able to report incidents like the one that that's been happening recently that these players are reporting, to get it taken care of before, so it's not, long after they have left the league and stuff like that. Some more NHL news is the Stars dismissed head coach